Mr. David Cleaves.
Thank you very much. Yes, so I'm going to talk about a topic that's maybe a little bit different, a little bit horizontal to some of the other things that we'll be discussing today in this event today, which is design, a bit more of the human, emotional side, behavioral side of a lot of what we do in creating software for customers and employees. Just quickly, a little bit about me and my background. I'm the head of creative at Argo Design. We're in 4 locations: Amsterdam, here in the Netherlands, the last 11 years, Munich in Germany, where I live, as well as Austin, Texas, and Brooklyn, New York. And we're about 100 people, consultants. We're part of the DXC technology company, a much, much bigger entity, as you all know. And we focus on the design of products like these, both like robots, the software behind them, and I would say about 80% of what we do is enterprise software. And in the last few years, it's been very much focused on employee interfaces and systems that enable employees of companies like yours to do their jobs. As I said, we're part of DXC. We at Argo do a lot of the initial sort of concepting and requirements gathering and sort of prototyping, figuring out what should be built, what should be made. And then our colleagues at DXC pick that up and do a great deal more work on launching that, building it, scaling it, and then over many years evolving those products in market. Personally, I moved to Europe 11 years ago from Texas, where I grew up. And I came to Europe because I wanted to work on cars. We don't, at least when I lived in Texas, Tesla wasn't there yet. We didn't have any car companies. And I spent a lot of the past 11 years working with BMW Group in Munich. I ran their sort of digital concept car team, making concept cars like this one. This was our iNext concept car, focused on mixed materials and different ways of interacting with the digital systems in a car. And you would think, well, why would you leave that and go back into consulting? And I would say part of why I did was these projects were a little too simple. Like the design challenges of software, of complex software, enterprise software, are in many ways a lot more compelling and more interesting than what you see in a more obvious design case like cars. Like, it's very clear why design is valuable in making a car, why you would talk to customers. We did clinics, we went to BMW Welt every week or two in Munich to talk to customers. But then the question today is, like, how can that type of sort of design thinking, or sort of more human design thinking, apply to the more complex sort of enterprise software landscape that we're dealing with in large companies? And specifically, how can we use design and the sort of human, emotional sides of business problem solving to increase our revenue, to reduce costs, and to make employees' work lives more efficient, more productive, at the end of the day, happier. I often think of this client. This is a long-term client of mine, Martin Hoffman. Some of you may have met him. He was, for many years, the CIO of the Volkswagen Group across their 12 brands, and has lately been working with a startup in Scandinavia, Volta Trucks. But I've done many projects for Martin. And one time he said this to me at dinner, which he said, when I have a really challenging problem, a big fuzzy problem that I don't really know how to solve, I can take it to someone like McKinsey, or I can take it to someone like you, and I'll get totally different results. And sometimes, he said, you take the project to both. And he had a big budget. He was able to do that. So I want to talk a little bit today and just show one example of how the more design side, I think we all understand how the McKinseys of the world solve problems with analytics and numbers, but how we solve problems with more of the behavioral or human side of things. And this is one very big example. It's a big company, Walmart. That's our largest client. We've worked with them for 5 years, ongoing. We have a big team here in Europe working on their projects. They have over 2 million employees, so the largest private employer in the world, in 24 countries. And the number of apps we've worked on, I think we've touched 45, 46 different apps at this point, of the hundreds of digital experiences they have, trying to sort of wrangle them, this chaos, into a very human and usable system. And just sharing a little bit about what we've done here that maybe you guys can do in your own companies a bit. You're maybe already doing it, but is starting with talking to customers, in this case, employees are our customers. So talking with employees, we've created panels. This is an example of one panel. We've created multiple panels of employees of all types who we identify in the stores around the world and use as sort of almost anthropological subjects. We observe their days, how they work, what their challenges are, and then design things side by side with these employees, which we call co-creation. So in this case, we're working on inventory management tools with employees, and we will brainstorm with them, sketch things on paper, make mock-ups with them quickly in the rapid prototyping tools that we use, and then test those in the store. This is for a store manager who has a very, very busy day. You'll see this is a tool we use a lot. I'm sure some of you have used this or are familiar with this in your own organizations, a customer journey or an employee journey, which we use to understand the full day in the life. And you quickly become humble. You realize the thing I'm designing is only 3% of their day or 1% of their day, because the rest of their day is fixing a broken toilet, dealing with an angry customer, a delivery of bananas didn't arrive. And so you have to map that journey of what their day is like, what their week is like, all of the things that are happening and all the tools they're using to understand how the tool you're designing and building can play a meaningful role in their life. In this case, we learned, I'll just say two things. We learned, one, that the most junior employee out of these 2.1 million wanted to feel like an owner. They wanted to feel ownership and control and not just feel like a piece of a big machine. That was one important learning. And another learning was data was so important, but they didn't have time to understand it. They were pretty numerically illiterate and needed clear ways of understanding data. As you can see here, we're trying to make data more visible to them. We also learned that the physical experience, we're digital designers, but we began having to go out into the parking lot, redesign how the parking lot worked. That's not our core expertise, but we had to start doing that to help the entire experience be a more holistic, better experience. Or physical products. These we try to be very careful with designing because they're very expensive to maintain and roll out. There's lots of challenges there, but we found in the case of managing requests from customers in a very large store, we had to design a tool like this. And then it becomes a fashion issue of they don't want to, young employees especially don't want to wear something that looks unattractive. So we got into a whole new set of sort of design and research challenges, designing these hybrid experiences. So I would say don't be shy about those. Thinking about, in this case, we redesigned the exit from the store, which was a big blocker. Like people exiting the store were always getting into arguments and because of shoplifting issues and things. So we mocked up an exit in our studio and got into the details of how that would work. And one other thing that I think every company should have, we've made it for Walmart, we make it for many clients, is a design language system that pulls everything together and has an associated component library of all the code components, because we're only 20 designers, and there's 800 others inside Walmart that can then scale using this system that we've created. As you can see here, and then here with the data, sort of the snackable data that's created using that design language system. And then just to wrap up, the last thing I would say is once you've started doing this work, continually give your employees reasons to be proud of it, to be proud of working in your organization using these tools that they made together. And tell that story. As we've done here, we've made books, we've given conferences internally at Walmart to help the employees be on stage like this and talk about how they designed the tools that they use. And the last thing I'll say before I leave is when you do this research, really think about the least visible employee in your organization. Who is that person who shows up every day, uncelebrated, unheralded, and really has been there for years, like this particular colleague here of ours. She was one of these examples. Oh my gosh, sorry. Was that me? Yeah.
Okay, hopefully this was a fake alarm.
I think it was a test.
You were just...
That wasn't me.
No, of course it wasn't you.
It wasn't you.
You're running out of time, but of course we will give you the opportunity to thank the audience and finish your sentence, of course. Yeah. So David, walk with me to the audience. Niets aan de hand, dames en heren. Just stay in your seats. David, the floor is still yours. Please finish up.
That was actually it. So luckily...
Oh, that was actually it.
Yes, I just had a final slide, DXC Technology and Argo, saying thank you, and please afterwards come say hello.
Okay, thanks again.
Thank
David Cleaves, thank you.